carry left side. He's got a hole. He's going to walk in. Touchdown, Ravens. The boss is back in the end zone, and the Ravens have taken the lead. Jackson under center. He'll give it to Gus Edwards. Edwards looks to the left, kicks his way into a pile, converges. Touchdown, Ravens.
Every day I get in the queue.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Felt good, and I wanted to keep going, and feel like the run game got a little going this year. It was tough yards, but we did some good things with combo blocks and everything. And it's a lot of season left. Like I said, I'm even fortunate to be playing right now with the type of injury I had. I just got to keep building off of it. We got momentum now, and we just got to keep building it up. We're going to find out about ourselves in the weeks to come.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook is live here on BSN. My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis. For the next few hours, let's talk a lot of football, a little slice of basketball too. And let's not waste any time, Ronis. I'm not even going to ask you how you are, because we just got dumped on when it comes to the fantasy football news cycle. I don't have this guy anywhere. But Adam Schefter reporting within the last half hour, Jamar Chase could be missing 4 to 6 weeks with a hip injury, bro. Just freaking brutal.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous if you have Jamar Chase, because this was a guy that you were counting on every week for big numbers. I thought I had him in more leagues, unless I'm missing a league. I have him in one, and I happen to have Tyler Boyd on the same team. And that was not intentional. It was I don't believe in handcuffing wide receivers. It just was at that point of the draft, and I don't remember what round. I thought Tyler Boyd was the best player on the board. So I said, you know what? I'm taking him. Obviously, in hindsight, it turns out to be great. And that team is actually doing very well, and is, has some depth there, which you can't say for many teams. So, I just quickly put Chase out, put Boyd in. I think I have Chase in best ball, though, because I know I have some exposure somewhere. So, but yeah, it's a brutal loss, 4 to 6 weeks. It could be longer. They're saying they don't expect him to have surgery. And obviously Tyler Boyd receives a massive upgrade. T. Higgins, a slight upgrade. I mean, T. Higgins was an every week starter anyway. That was kind of ranked as a low end wide receiver 1, early wide receiver 2. Hayden Hurst could benefit, and maybe Michael Thomas in a deeper league, since they kind of condense where the targets go. So maybe Michael Thomas in a deeper league. I think it hurts Burrow just a little bit, because, again, Chase is just an explosive playmaker that can take the ball, a 10-yard catch, and take it 60 yards. So it's a massive, massive loss for those that have Jamar Chase. And it just, what I keep saying, because I've talked to friends and people like, oh, I'm out of it, I'm 2-5. You aren't. Like, even if you think you're hit with a lot of injuries. Now, if you have Chase, Metcalf, and Mike Williams, well, could you have that? Maybe. But say you have like Chase, Metcalf, and I don't know, Debo, right? Because I'm starting to think Debo doesn't play this week with this hamstring, and they have a bye next week. But, you got to remember, other teams are going to be hit hard too. So you just got to keep finding a way, grind it out, and just get in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, if you have Chase and a couple of those other receivers, yeah, it's bleak and it's not going to be easy, but you can't sit there and sulk and like make excuses. You just got to keep finding a way. I'm pretty sure Tyler Boyd's not available in any league.
Way.
Again, I play in very deep formats, but even my friend's work league, which is, again, a work league and only 6 bench spots more, he's not available there. So I doubt he's available anywhere, but yeah, just it's a massive loss. I mean, we knew there was something wrong because he did leave the game, and you could see he wasn't right. So it's not completely out of the blue, like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. We knew he had an issue. He's been on the injury report, and he did leave the game last week. So, but yeah, it sucks for football in general. I mean, he is one of the most fun wide receivers to watch, and the Bengals are one of the few fun offenses in the NFL that we were going to get to see Monday night, and now we will not see Chase. So it just sucks.
How about this for a potential pickup? While Tyler Boyd might not be there, we talk about how crappy the tight end position is, and this guy's a little bit banged up. Hayden Hurst, I think, could still be out there in some leagues. Some leagues. Definitely more available than Boyd, at least my opinion right there.
Yeah, he could be out there. Again, I think a lot of these tight ends have been picked up. I think a lot of people are rostering 2 tight ends just to kind of figure out who is the answer for them. But yeah, I think I actually dropped them this week. Well, because this league I have Darren Waller, so I
Our host league?
no, not that league. The league where I have Boyd and Chase. So I think I picked up Dawson Knox. But I'm hoping. I don't even know if I hope Waller comes back at this point. I mean, he's done nothing anyway, but I think he is practicing.
Right. We'll have to wait and see there. Who's not practicing? This same crap with the Saints. Nobody's practicing still, man. Nobody. It's unbelievable. I'm just waiting for encouragement. And part of the problem is I'm someone that has Michael Thomas in a few leagues. He's one of my most vested players because I actually got him a nice discount in some of those leagues. And now I'm barely able to use this guy. And it's looking like the Saints are going to be without some options once again. I will say this, Ron, because you know me. I'm never one that's going to toot my own horn. I'm never one that's going to run a victory lap. We do have our Thursday hash out before and I have no way of proving this to you, so you have to accept me for my word. Before the Jamar Chase news came out, I did have Tyler Boyd for the peppered section of the hash out there as a possible option there. Someone who could get targeted more. Really just because, and I told you this, I'm in love with what Joe Burrow is doing right now, man. He's doing everything that I wish Lamar Jackson can do 50%.
But Lamar Jackson doesn't have the weapons that Burrow has.
No, he does not. But I'm saying that's why I said 50%. Because right now, when it comes to Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson's not running in scores. He's not throwing scores. He's not running in scores. Joe Burrow, he's running in scores week after week lately, and he's throwing touchdowns too. And that's why, it really sucks that Jamar Chase is out. You can't just think that this offense is totally screwed. It takes away a big player. But like you said, they have other options and a damn good quarterback in Burrow right there.
Yeah. I've been saying, I didn't understand what the Bengals were doing early in the season, especially that Thursday night game against Miami. I was sitting there infuriated watching them because all they were doing was running the football, and Mixon was picking up 2.4 yards per carry. And Mixon is slightly over 3 yards per carry this year. And it's it doesn't make sense when you had Chase, Boyd, Higgins, Hurst, and not to say Mixon's not a good running back, but he clearly has not been efficient this year. You got to come out and pass the ball. In that game, if you watch, they were picking up 8-9 yards per pass, and they were running the football, and it didn't make no sense. So I loved what they did this past week. They came out passing, and you saw Burrow over 300 yards in the first half. Boyd had a big game. Higgins had a big game. Chase had a big game. That's the way they need to play because clearly they're not having much of an effect on the ground. Now, it's not affecting Mixon in fantasy. Mixon is still getting big volume. He's still involved in the passing game. And because this offense has been so prolific, Mixon is finishing off drives with a touchdown like last week. If you look, Mixon wasn't efficient last week, still had 17 points in the PPR because he got the touchdown. He was involved in a passing game. So the Bengals still, that's the way they need to play. When you have a quarterback as talented as Burrow and you have the weapons at wide receiver, you should be a passing team, pass first team. And they've started to do it. We'll see if it continues. It should, in my opinion.
Some news coming out here of Mike Garafolo actually reporting that for tonight, Julio Jones, as we now look at tonight's game here, Julio Jones apparently, according to reports, expected to play. So that's something that just recently came out in the last little bit as well. So we'll have to see what happens there because remember, here's what we're looking at. We're not having Cameron Brate. We're not having Russell Gage tonight when it comes to the Tampa side of it. Baltimore is very confusing at this point. I don't know if you've seen anything encouraging, but you see the phrase, I guess, in the headlines, hopeful turnaround. I have not seen any confirmation on Andrews, Bateman, and even Gus Edwards too. And look, when it comes to Gus Edwards, something else that we're going to have to discuss, Ron, you've alluded to it a few times in the last couple of days. Short week. How much is his workload going to be tonight? I mean, we have to expect that this guy's not going to be getting 15 carries.
Yeah, it would be surprising if he did because, again, just a short week, and he only played slightly over 30% of the snaps. They did utilize him a lot. I mean, you're banking on a touchdown tonight. If he doesn't have a touchdown, it's not going to be a great week. I have him in 2 leagues. One, I am not starting him. The other one, I'm kind of debating right now. I think I do have him in there, but I'm going to obviously have to make a decision. I think it'll come down to him or Darrell Henderson. Henderson is practicing today. And it doesn't look like Kyron Williams is going to be back. It is a tough matchup, though, against San Francisco. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Obviously, taking it all the way up to game time. But yeah, I think it sounds like Bateman's going to play. I think I saw something that said that he is likely going to play tonight. And Bateman's another guy I have in multiple leagues. I plan on playing him in the leagues. I think I have him ranked as a wide receiver 3. The Buccaneers secondary is really, really banged up. And we do expect the Ravens to come out and pass the ball. I mean, run the ball. They're probably not going to pass a lot, but, Bateman can make your day on one play. And last week, 442, 8.2 in a PPR. But if he can find a way into the end zone, it could be a nice night for him. So I'm leaning towards playing Bateman. But again, it all depends on your options. It's not like he's a must start. But in the leagues that I'm looking at, they're pretty deep leagues. So they did not. So I guess their beat reporter Jameson Hensley said that the Ravens elevated linebacker Devon Kennard and nose tackle Isaiah Mack from the practice squad. So by not promoting Deshaun Jackson, indication that Bateman will play.
Yeah, and that's right. Hensley's someone that you can rely on here. And that's one of the things that's going to be good, Roan, because something that we didn't utilize much on our last show that we're going to do more. I've talked to all these beat writers over the last 10, 12 years when I was producing shows. I know all these guys, and I know who's right and who's wrong. And that's some of them will be able to call out whether or not they're full of BS or not. But some of them are very reliable. Hensley is one of them. Luke Jones as well. If you see him out there, he's also very reliable as well when it comes to the Ravens side of things. Have you thought about this from a wagering standpoint at all? Because I'm in that season-long betting contest, and I feel like I really want to go with the Ravens for this one. I mean, Ravens are 2-point underdogs, 46.5 total here. I'm just trying to think which of these quarterbacks, when it comes to these two struggling quarterbacks in Brady and Jackson, who has a better chance of rebounding. And I'm kind of feeling like it's the Ravens here going into tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I am not betting this game. I do have a pool, though. I think because the pool was done a couple days ago, I think they had the Bucks as dogs because this line moved. Bucks opened up as 2-point underdogs. Now they're favored. I will not bet it. The side I don't really have a strong feel. I would probably lean to the Ravens getting the points, but we've seen them blow leads. This Tampa rebound. I mean, I just don't. The Tampa Bay offense has just been so predictable. They run on first down all the time, and they put themselves in a hole. Fournette hasn't been very effective lately. So, I mean, but the Ravens have issues as well. So it's a really big game for both sides. I mean, Ravens lose, they go to 4-4, and they could, they seem to be the favorite now. I like the Bengals. They were coming on. We'll see how this Chase injury affects them. And Tampa Bay, the crazy part is Tampa Bay could lose this game and they still could win this division. Or here's a crazy scenario, right? And no one would have thought this coming into the week.
I think I know where you're going with this, too.
If Tampa loses, the Saints lose, and the Panthers beat the Falcons, the Panthers will be tied for first with Atlanta and Tampa. Actually, they would be in first, right? Yeah, because they beat Tampa last week, and they would beat Atlanta. The Panthers, who were rebuilding, could be in first place at the end of this weekend.
They were actually talking about that on the broadcast. They're like, if Aaron, I think it was, I forget who it was, if so-and-so holds on here, the Panthers, one game out of first.
Actually, you know what? Even if the Saints win, they would be in first. They beat the Saints 22-14 in week 3. So you could have a potential 4-way tie. All these teams could be 3-5 at the end of the weekend, and the Panthers would have victories over all 3 divisional teams and be in first place.
Weird, man.
It's
weird.
Well, I mean, it sums up the NFL in 2022.
Yeah, I hate to say this. Are we not? And you could slap me across the face verbally if you want for this, because we've talked about it with teams like the Giants before. Are we not giving Carolina enough credit, or is it a product of the division, their matchups here?
Wait, dude, you're really saying that about a 2-5 team?
Yes.
Come on.
I'm wondering, man. I'm going off of what I saw last week, what they did to Tampa here, man.
I mean, look, they played great. They seem to play hard for the new coach. They have a good defense, but I mean, they traded away McCaffrey, so they clearly don't believe it. As weak as the division is, but the crazy part is Tampa, because of the division, is even if they lose tonight, they're kind of not out of it. But I think if you lose tonight, it's just it's demoralizing, man. I mean, to lose to 3 games in a row with Brady and everything that's going on with him, it's just, and they're banged up in the secondary. So yeah, it's a very interesting game, but it's really tough to kind of handicap here. I mean, I lean towards the Ravens. I think they're the better team, and the Bucs have a lot of issues, injuries in the secondary. They've had trouble running the ball. They've been predictable on offense. Julio Jones doesn't really do much coming back. I mean, is he going to even be able to make it through the game?
No, he's not.
I mean,
what's the line on that? Where's the prop bet on that? Does Julio Jones have to leave the field at all? Injury related. What's the line on that? Because I'll take the over on 0.5 for that, Rome. He's better than you were telling me last year that the guy, it's not the same guy as we saw for 4 or 5 years ago. He's just not. He's done. He's done at this point. Here's the thing. I was thinking about our conversation we had regarding Tom Brady, whether or not us as analysts can truly take what's going on with him off the field and whether or not it's truly impacting him, unlike some of the other things, like, for instance, injuries to offensive linemen, injuries to his offensive weapons. But it just hasn't been good for Brady, and it just makes me wonder when it comes to this team. It makes me wonder about whether or not Brady feels like football is all he has now with everything going on. And if we might be able to see Brady play another year or two after that, man, is he going to be pulling a Julio Franco and we're going to be talking about this guy at 48, 49 years old?
I don't know his face looks like he's worn down, right? He just doesn't look the same. I mean, I know he's had plastic surgery and all that. That could be a factor, but
has he?
He looks, oh, dude, look at that guy. You really think that's 45? You think he hasn't had it with all the money he has? Come on, man.
You think he's had work done?
Absolutely, bro. Come on. He's 45 looking like that? No way. It's not an avocado diet only. Come on.
What if it's an avocado diet and Clearasil? Something like
that. No, man. That dude has had work done. Almost anyone who has a lot of money and is famous like that, they've definitely had work done.
I've never thought of that before.
Really? You haven't?
Dude, no. Dude, some people just look good. You don't think so?
He happens to with all that money. He just happens to be blessed.
The hell they're blessed. Some people are. I'm not one of those people. You're sure as hell not one of those people.
Are you kidding me? I look my age. Come on, bro. If I didn't have the grays in front, that's the only thing that tips you off. You can say what you want about me, but I definitely look younger.
The glasses make you look older too.
Okay, so what about now? And then what if I shave? I had the baby face, bro. Come on.
Yeah, we might have to try that. I mean, Halloween is coming up here, so
okay. I don't care about your opinion because I ain't trying to get with you. Most females that I meet, they always think I'm younger than I am, so that's what matters.
Yeah, I never once said anything about you getting with me, man. I'm married man.
That's why your opinion is irrelevant to me.
I'm sorry, man. I know that you really like me as your co-host here, but I'm married, bro.
I don't. You're not my type. You know my type, and you're far from it.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes, I am indeed. Man, for a second, I was like, wow, this might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me before. Is Bateman playing Maladan? We'll have to wait and see.
We think so. The reports indicate he is, but we should know officially before the show is over. Usually around 6:45 p.m. Eastern, we will have the inactives, and we will get them to you as soon as we receive it.
Yes,
so stay tuned. Don't go away. This is important.
Wow, what a tease there by the road man. I love that there. I'm not going anywhere right there. Well, we'll answer Essen's question, though, and it does involve Gus Edwards going tonight here. 2 in his flex. He's got Wan'Dale Robinson. We've got to talk about
wait a second. I just saw this. I knew about this, but we get on Kirk Cousins for prime time. Did you know in the last 3 years that Tom Brady is 2-10 against the spread in prime time?
Wow.
See, you know what? That's right. I don't know if we ever had this discussion, but he's older, bro. He's not used to being up late. Remember, he's got like a regiment. So being up late for him, that could be the problem.
Well, what probably is it like Adam Ronis late? Like I'm up till 4 a.m. every morning, or is it that he's up till maybe? I can't see Tom Brady going to bed before 11 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, I could. Really? You don't see like Brady?
I think he's under pressure, dude. You know how it is when you're stressed. Imagine the guy's stressed every day.
I'm saying in the past, and maybe that's why his routine was going to sleep early, waking up early, and now it's gone. But yeah, I think
Adam Bernard.
I agree with him, man. 9:30.
He's got too much going on, bro.
No, he doesn't, man. Because he prefers to wake up earlier and start his day earlier.
Well, I get that too. Like, stop. Enough with Kobe. Okay, enough with that. No, we're talking right now. AB Adam Bernard hanging out with us, and the franchise Tony LaBarbera in for the People's Board Op. Jared Moore. Before we get to Matt Sells, he's going to join us. He writes our game previews for the week, every week during the NFL season on fantasyalarm.com, covers NASCAR as well. Ron, let's talk a little bit about Kadarius Toney. No longer a member of the New York Giants, now adding to the battle royale of receivers when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs here, Ron. So, I mean, what did you think about that trade? Giants going to be getting back a couple of picks in return there. Toney clearly wasn't happy, and now all of a sudden – you see the reaction from everyone. Oh, man, it's like he's the greatest. He's like God's gift because he's with Patrick Mahomes now. But what were your reactions when you saw this trade go
down? I mean, I'm not surprised by it because we clearly know that this coaching staff was not enamored with him. Something's going on. And there was some tweet about Toney, and he's like, you're not getting the full story. So I don't think he's been hurt. Maybe he was earlier, but I think he wasn't really hurt. They didn't want to play him. Clearly, there was something going on there that they didn't like. Now, this is not the best place for his fantasy value. People think, oh, it's Mahomes, but they got so many guys here, and he's got to learn the offense. And can he stay healthy? So I understand why people went to pick him up. By the time I went to pick him up in leagues, he was gone. And I was someone who was very high on Toney before the year and drafted him in a lot of leagues. I think I only have him in one league, and that's my home league because I was able to put him on whenever he was ruled out, put him on IR. So I'll hold him, but you kind of need to see it first in this offense before he can get it done. He has a lot of ability, and playing with Mahomes is great, but there's still several guys over there right now. So I think this more is a long-term move. I'm not sure how much value he's going to have this year. Like, obviously, if he stayed with the Giants, way better because he would have gotten a huge target share. It's not guaranteed here in Kansas City.
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson there. I mean, at this point here, you got to be thinking life without Toney, but still now officially with him out of there, they're just to the moon, at least for this week, with this guy, especially with Daniel Jones having a very good matchup here going up against Seattle. Shocker, the Giants are underdogs. Once again, we'll have our weekly hash out in a little bit. We'll talk about the 4-game NBA slate that we have on the docket as well. Matt Sells from fantasyalarm.com coming up next to talk a little bit more in depth about these week 8 matchups here. This is the playbook open live. This is what we do. We're taking your comments as well. I started reading Essence question here. He has 2 flex spots here for these options. Wan'Dale Robinson, Jerry Jeudy involved, Gus Edwards tonight. And then he has Brandon Cooks and Kareem Hunt here, Roan, in a half PPR league here. I mean, to me, I'm thinking at least from this, I'm thinking maybe a safe option would be Robinson, at least from the group here, at least for one of the options here. That's at least who I'm including.
Which Robinson? Oh, Wan'Dale?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably him and
yeah, it's tough. I mean,
it's tough. Yeah,
Jeudy, we don't know who's throwing him the football. Gus Edwards. I mean, we're thinking at this point. I mean, no way he's getting a full workload if he plays tonight when we get that final confirmation. Brandon Cooks, Kareem Hunt, that nothing too crazy excited about with them. So that's why I at least clinch Wan'Dale Robinson there.
Yeah, and maybe. Oh man, that's tough. I mean, look. Edwards is a little bit of a risk, but he could score a touchdown. So,
yeah,
you have to decide if you want to take that risk and if there's any further reports that come out. Because, again, it's hard for me to believe they're going to give him 15 carries again a few days after his first appearance of the season coming off the injuries.
They don't need to let Lamar run a little bit more. You got other options, too. Let them run as well. It just makes the most sense. Preserve this guy just a little bit. He's Adam Ronis. I'm Justin Fensterman. Let's get with Matt Sells, a little football, a little NASCAR, and we'll keep hanging with all of you in the comments as well. This is the Playbook powered by fantasyalarm.com and sponsored by Jock Market here on BSN.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market. Presented by Mayo Media on Bettor Sports Network.
Matt Ryan was the most added quarterback in CBS Sports League this week.
I don't know
And
why.
I'm like, that's weird. Like Matt Ryan against Tennessee, that's kind of like a strange. Everybody add him, benched, done, injured. But they said Frank Reich's like, yo, it's going to be Sam Erlinger either way. Like Ryan's benched.
And normally I would like to come on here and say, hey, Frank Reich, why don't you look in the mirror and look at your performance?
Yeah.
Guess what? Matt Ryan is not playing well. Matt Ryan should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. See, here's the thing, right? When these old quarterbacks go to Indianapolis, they're sold on, we got this great offensive line. No, you have a great offensive lineman in Nelson.
Right, Quentin Nelson.
The rest of those dudes stink. And now you put somebody my age back there, and you look at Matt Ryan, and all he's doing is watching the pass rush, trying not to get hit, and then throwing the football to wherever he can.
Yeah.
He leads the league in interceptions with 9. So Reich is probably thinking, if we can stop turning the ball over, maybe we can have something here. Now, the kid Ellinger, he's been a Heisman candidate. He's been a guy that's been a blue chip quarterback. So now they want to give him a shot to see if he could be the guy, or do they need to go draft a quarterback? So I think it's the right move to bench Matt Ryan at this point. Matt Ryan is washed up. Matt Ryan's been washed up for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And you keep saying to your fan base, oh, this veteran quarterback going to come in and save us. We almost was fooled again this year. There's a lot going on in Indianapolis. And O-line is problematic. That I don't think they're schemed well with the head coach. Matt Ryan throwing interceptions. The defense can't stop the run. They're on the field a lot and they don't go nowhere. They have these big, long drives and they miss a field goal. It's just a bad brand of football. It's time to bring in the kid.
The Playbook with Feinstein and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Justin Fensterman, Adam Rodas back with you here on the Playbook. Jordan Allen doing a good job here, digital media producer here for Bettor Sports Network here, telling us here what Adam Schefter actually recently reported here right before a little box break, that all three with Bateman, Andrews, Edwards are expected to play in tonight's Thursday night football game. However, we still have to wait and see if anything else comes out regarding Gus Edwards and workload. We have to imagine that his workload is going to be managed. Essen, to answer your question for now, go with Robinson and Edwards. By the way, I think this is also Jordan Allen's doing, Ronis as well, is also saying, he tweets out from the Bettor Network account at Bettor Network, saying that I'm not your type. See, here's the problem with the context right there, because he's saying, Adam Rodas is saying that he's not Fenstein's type. I didn't inquire about that, okay? I'm the married guy.
Yeah, but you're commenting about how I look in my age. So, like I said, your opinion's irrelevant because I'm not trying to get with you.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, I can't say that you're a good-looking guy?
But that's not what you said. You said that I look old because I haven't had plastic surgery like Tom Brady. I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, see, that's why. See, sometimes you don't realize what you say, man.
No,
We have it all on audio, bro. We can just go right back to the receipts, man.
Listen, you're right, but when it came to the whole getting with me concept, I did not take it there. You did, sir. And because I had to point out, again, your opinion is irrelevant to me. The women that I meet, and most of them, at least in the last couple of years, when I haven't been in a relationship, they say that I look younger than I am. So they matter to me because I'm trying to get with them, not with you. That's my point. Wow. So then I don't appreciate that then. Thank you.
Well, I don't appreciate your comments about me.
I know you don't. You're going to be thinking about that at 3 a.m. because you're still going to be up along with Tom Brady, too, from all the stress.
Nah, Brady's sleeping,
yes, I know,
bro.
AP. Matt Sells is there. Let's get with
Sells. What time do you think Tom Brady goes to sleep at night?
About 8 o'clock.
See, Sells is right. See,
Why?
He agrees with us.
Why?
8, 9 o'clock. This dude's not up late, bro. He
Sells.
takes care of his body.
Matt Sells, you're the tools manager. You write F1 content. You write NASCAR content. You write football content, which we're going to talk to you about in just a minute here. You're stressed out. You think Tom Brady, with all he's dealing with on and off the field and everything, you think that Tom Brady can just chill out and actually get to sleep at 8 o'clock at night Eastern? No,
if he's not playing in prime time, I don't see why not. Like,
which is why
he's separated. I'm pretty sure Giselle's got the kids, right? So he's got no little munchkins running around. What's the best way to get rid of stress? Go take a nap.
Remember, he's a man of routine. He's a man of routine. If you're 45, you're clearly taking care of your body. And a lot of people that do go to bed, they say going to bed early, same time every night. Because Matt, this stemmed from a stat that I just saw, and I saw it recently, but it refreshed my memory again. Brady is 2-10 against the spread in his last 12 primetime games over the last 3 years. He just may not be used to being up this late.
Yeah, man, he's tired.
Oh, he's
45.
tired.
He's thrown off his routine.
Well, then maybe he shouldn't be playing football anymore, you know?
Well, that's what Giselle just gave him an ultimatum
Yeah.
for, right? Like,
I don't know. Is that a true story? Where was the source for that? I was going to bring that up, but I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's true either. I saw it on several different places now. I don't know where they originally picked it up, but
now is she saying he has to retire right now or the end of the year?
I don't know. I didn't actually have time to read the article.
Okay,
I
neither did I. I'm like, whatever.
But I also didn't believe it, so I wasn't going to clickbait. So,
Right.
Yes, everybody else will. Sells, don't worry. By the way, I don't think Sells has had any plastic surgery, Ronas. What do you think?
Probably not.
Yes. Okay, good. He's confirmed that.
Nope.
You could follow Matt Sells on Twitter at the Sellsman. Not only covers NASCAR and F1, like I was saying, but also writes along with Britt Flynn on FantasyAlarm.com the weekly NFL game previews here. And Sells, we might as well just start with tonight here. Do you expect either Lamar Jackson or Tom Brady, who have both been struggling, especially Jackson too, in the last few weeks, do you expect either one of them to, or both even, to bounce back in tonight's game?
I think it's more likely that Brady bounces back, despite what we just said about his bedtime. The Ravens defense is just not good, right? They're allowing an atrocious amount of passing yards a game. Brady has actually topped the 250 mark in 3 of the last 4 games he's played. So, look, and I also think that Mike Evans feels real bad about dropping that wide open touchdown pass last week. Like that definitely put a hurt on Brady's stat line. So I think that it's more likely that Brady bounces back and has himself a good game against a bad defense than it is Lamar facing a pretty good Bucs defense.
Do you see Andy Dalton as a possible streaming option this week now that he's been named the starter?
I do, actually, for a couple of reasons. One, the Saints offense just seems to keep putting up points. Like, I'm not entirely sure how they're doing it, given the guys that they've been missing week after week. But if you keep looking up, they're like in 28, 31 point games, right? Like, not to mention that so far this season, the Raiders offense has given up the most amount of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks per game this year. So as long as they have, Taysom Hill is healthy, Alvin Kamara is there. If Chris Olave plays, that's good. Michael Thomas is in the mix, maybe. So I think there's enough there for Andy Dalton to be a reasonable streaming option, especially if you have a guy like Herbert or Mahomes on bye this week.
So now that Christian McCaffrey isn't just 2 days on the team, he's got a little bit more under his belt, a little bit more, meaning another 7-8 days. What are your thoughts on him in general, how he's going to impact this 49ers offense, who it could take away from, and especially going into this matchup against the Rams?
So that's a good question. It feeds off of the podcast that you and Ryan Hallam and I recorded earlier today, which will be up later today on FantasyAlarm.com. And we kind of struggled with figuring out what exactly is going to happen, because if you look at how San Francisco has run the ball in the past, it's basically been a plug-and-play system with whoever is the hot hand gets it over the last few years. And Christian McCaffrey has been targeted a lot, but that's because there hasn't been a whole lot of receiving threats on the Panthers since he's been there, right? DJ Moore is basically the only solid threat that's been there his whole tenure as the Panthers. So I think he's certainly going to be used a lot more than he was last game. But it's hard to tell right now. And as far as who it hurts, it may just hurt Jeff Wilson. I don't know if it's going to hurt anybody in the passing game. I think they shift to a little bit more of a little bit more passing from Jimmy G here to support all of the targets they're going to need to get to Debo when he's healthy, and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, and now CMC out of the backfield.
What about the Giants offense going into Seattle this week? They keep winning games. What are your expectations for the offense this week going into Seattle, which is typically a tough place to play? Oh, not good. I see. Wow. They're making them sick.
Wait, who's
Sorry,
away?
my kid, who I told I was going to be on the radio, decided to not listen yet again.
Maybe she knows the answer to the question.
Yeah.
Maybe. My answer, though, is going to be that it's going to look exactly the same. Like, Kadarius Toney was not healthy, so the trade of getting rid of Kadarius Toney isn't going to change anything, right? The Seahawks are giving up the most rushing yards per game on the ground. They're giving up a bunch of targets to running backs through the air. So I see no reason why the 6-1 Giants should change anything that they're doing, especially this week when the defense they're facing plays right into their hands of how they move the ball down the field. And I would expect Daniel Jones to also rush a decent amount too. Like not to the level we saw last week, but I think he'll maybe crack the 50-yard mark.
Hanging out with Matt Sells and his kids here on the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network. Give Sells a follow on Twitter at the Sells Man. We'll talk a little NASCAR in just a little bit, but want to get back to talking about the Colts now. Now new quarterback under center here to start and moving forward as well with Matt Ryan bench there. The Commanders secondary is weak. How are you handling, or what are your expectations for the Colts passing attack? Being it's a good matchup, but a little bit uncertain, of course, with the quarterback change.
I think Ellinger will be fine this week. I think he's a perfectly okay option for maybe some DFS. I don't know if I would pick him up and stream him because it depends on who you have to drop to make that move. But the weapons are there to help him, right? Like we all liked Matt Ryan coming into the season if he could stay healthy because of the weapons. We were all high on Michael Pittman, and now Alec Pierce has shown up. Jonathan Taylor has to figure out how to, move a ball when he's actually healthy and on the field. But I think it's going to be an okay matchup. The Washington secondary has not been good. They've been leaking like a sieve basically all season. And, a lot of these a lot of these guys on the Colts are young, and so that's a bonus for them because they don't know what they don't know. So I think Ellinger is going to let it fly. He's got to prove to them that he's their quarterback of the future at this point before they go use a draft pick on another one in a deep class this year. So I'm perfectly fine running him out there in some DFS lineups this week.
We saw Justin Fields play very well Monday night as they put up over 30 points against the Patriots. Going against the Cowboys this week, we know they lead the league in sacks. Fields is the most sacked quarterback. Can we stream Fields this week because of his rushing upside?
So I guess that's the crux of it, right? Because we still don't have a whole lot of faith in his passing abilities, even though they did put up 30-something points against the Patriots last week. It was mainly because they were dealing with short fields. You give an NFL offense, a short field long enough, they're going to figure out ways to score it. Yeah, the Cowboys defense, man, not only do they lead the league in sacks, they also have guys that are very good at picking the ball off in the secondary. They're either going to get beat or pick the ball off. And right now, Justin Fields doesn't have the weapons to go beat the secondary. So I'm not as high on Justin Fields this week as you are in your rankings.
I lowered him today.
I do get the rushing upside, and he's going to have to be running for his life behind that offensive line against the defense.
I just made updates like right before the show because I had to put Russell Wilson in. So yeah, people can check that out, but he is a little bit lower than where he was.
But yeah, I'm not seeing it. Like he's making strides, right? There's clearly some promise there, but I think that this is a bad matchup for him this week.
Sells, the Jets just traded for James Robinson, and according to the reports that we're hearing from Coach LaFleur, their offensive coordinator, he's saying that they're going to try to go with a hot hand approach. But when it comes to something like this week in a not so good matchup against the Patriots here, for those that are stuck and have James Robinson, I mean, when you're thinking workload for the guy, being he only has days of notice here to even try to learn the playbook, how limited do you think James Robinson will be? Do you think that there's even a chance, being that they want to bring him on a little bit slowly, that he might not even be active for this game against New England?
So I think he'll be active because I think they want the depth in the backfield. But I do think that they are going to script a certain set of plays for him to run, much like they did for CMC. Right? They gave him a handful of plays to focus on, and then go out there and run those, and the rest of them will be taken by Jeff Wilson. I think that'll be the approach here with Michael Carter getting the bulk of the work against a tough Pats defense, and then James Robinson will come in certain scripted situations. So I think you got to wait another week before you can really get a feel for James Robinson with the Jets, given yes, the trade happened early enough in the week to learn some playbooks, but the week that guys get traded is almost certainly not a very good week to play them.
Talk a little NASCAR before we let you go. Xfinity 500 at Martinsville Speedway this weekend. What can you tell us about this track overall and what we should be looking for?
Yeah, so this is actually the shortest track on the NASCAR schedule. It is just over a half mile. It's also very flat. So
sorry, Ronis.
Sorry, Ronis.
Not interested.
It's also half concrete. So sorry again.
Oh man, he's out. He's not even.
Yeah, he's checked out. It does not matter.
Yeah,
he's done. He's going back to his rankings right now on the website there.
That being said, it does offer the opportunity for a lot of bump and runs and tight passing situations.
I like bump and runs.
And what they call rubbing is racing. So there is some room for that. This is the second to last race of the NASCAR season, so it is the last chance for anybody to clinch their spot in the championship race next weekend in Phoenix. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on 7 of the guys that are still in the playoffs, because only one of them has gotten a win to lock themselves into the championship. So with that, we're kind of looking at a lot of laps in this race. So we're targeting laps led, and we need guys that are starting in the top 20, generally speaking, to really feel good about playing them in DFS, because you can get lapped here pretty quickly with the track being just over a half mile long.
Sells trick or treat being it's Halloween. Why don't you tell us some of those drivers who have been excellent in tracks like these, similar to what we're seeing in Martinsville when it comes to laps led? Who are some of those drivers that fit the bill?
Yeah, so some of the guys, basically anybody in the Hendrick garage, except for Noah Gragson, who's filling in for Alex Bowman. So we've got Chase Elliott, William Byron will be good candidate for laps led. Kyle Larson, who is the most expensive guy on DraftKings, should be a good candidate for laps led. But also a guy named after the track, not really, but it does fit. Martin Truex Jr. has won here a few times in the last 4 races. And by the way, this is nifty. The trophy here is a grandfather clock, like a 15-foot tall handmade.
Why? Who wants that? Who has room for something like that?
I mean, people find room. It's a highly sought after trophy.
Why? That's
because
stupid.
it stems from the original. This track is one of the original tracks of NASCAR. It's been on the schedule every NASCAR season since the sport started in 1947. And the original owners of the track wanted a way to show off the local artisans in the Southern Virginia area, and so they decided on grandfather clock, and that is what has stuck. And so there are guys that have won here 7, 8, 10 times, and they have a grandfather clock for every single win. And so then you just start gifting grandfather clocks to people, because ain't nobody putting 10 of those suckers in their house. But yeah, so Martin Truex Jr. could also be a threat here. He's not in the playoffs, but he's been very good here of late.
Who do you see winning the race? Who would you bet on, or some good bets?
So I think it would be a sneaky bet to go with Joey Logano. He's the only guy who's locked himself into the championship. But that means that everybody else would have to fight for positions on the track, which is where bump and runs come in. It's where people get real frustrated and go and wreck guys out of the race. Also, Fords in general have been pretty quick on these short flat tracks this year. So Joey Logano would be a pretty good bet. I also think Ryan Blaney could sneak in there as a winning candidate. And then we'll throw a bone here to Chase Elliott, who may go and get a second Martinsville win this weekend.
Wow, another grandfather clock right there. Riveting trophy. Very motivating. He's Matt's sought after grandfather clock.
It
Come on.
is.
It shocks me. I believe you. It just shocks me. Who wants that? It's massive. It takes up a ton of space.
Yeah, it's huge, but it's awesome. It's handmade, and winning Martinsville is really, really hard to do. It's also the only track that's been on the schedule every year of the sport. So why not?
I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah.
You could say it. Screw you, Fensty. You could say it, Sells. It's okay. Plenty of people do. He's Matt Sells. Give him a follow on Twitter at the Sellsman. Ronus, were you about to say something? You were smiling.
No, I've said screw you many times in my head.
Yes.
I was gonna say this is like full circle where the conversation started, right? Like,
Oh, look at you, Sells. Very nice context right there. At the Sellsman for all that great context and great content at fantasyalarm.com. Covers NASCAR, covers F1, also covers football and baseball too, and is our tools manager. So if anything goes wrong with the site, well, it's his fault. So here's the person that you can blame. Just kidding. Don't do it. Kind of at the Sellsman on Twitter. Sells, thank you so much for stopping by again.
sure thing. Always a fun time with you guys.
Yes, sir. Road, we talk
What?
about trophies when like grandfather clock. I mean, think about it. If you won Tout Wars, let's just say, and they go, "Oh, Ronus, here's a 15-foot grandfather clock," you wouldn't accept that, right? You try to put
Yeah,
it in
but these guys have probably way bigger houses than you and me, so they got plenty of room, and it's different. But yeah, what I wanted, no, I could just look at my phone and I got the time right there.
Exactly. I just never understood that. I just never understood the appeal or anything like that. I get it's a very old relic and stuff, but as a trophy, not really what you want there. Seeing Adam Schefter now say we were talking about the Cowboys and whether or not they'd be able to cover that 9.5-point spread that we saw it at yesterday, and it seems that a little bit banged up Sam Williams, Micah Parsons too. So Parsons now with the shoulder issue, and now Williams dealing with the knee issue, did not participate in practice, according to Adam Schefter. For those that are just tuning in, wondering what's going on for tonight's game, here is what the latest that we know. All three of Andrews, Edwards, and even Bateman for Baltimore, all expected to play. We have not been given any further details regarding workload, but we have to expect, being that he's coming off a short week and his first game back, Gus Edwards should be limited tonight. However, if for those that need a touchdown, because for some of us that are scoring under 100 points because of the scoring being down in fantasy, touchdown might be part of that recipe that you need, meaning he might still have some appeal there. That's what we're looking at right now. That's the situation. We'll take a little bit of a dive into the news and notes further in the NFL before we get to our hash out. And we'll take a look at Ronus's rankings for a little hot route. Maybe he has a player or two that has risen in his rankings for one reason or another. We'll reveal those next in the playbook on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronus is sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every hour, every minute, every second of every game.
Co-founder of Jock Market. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thanks for
How
having
you
me.
doing?
Thank you
Thanks
for
coming on.
sponsoring the show on the network and everything, man. We much appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have one of your I don't know what you should call him, not a sycophant really, maybe a disciple, maybe I don't know, John Legeza on once in a while, and he is like
He's on it.
like all in caps Jock Market, and like his enthusiasm for it. I mean, look, like I remember we had Jock Market sponsor one of the athletic shows a while ago too, so I was familiar with the game. But he is like, man, the proselytizer big time of your game.
Yeah, right from the jump. The second we first started talking to him, it was very clear as a match. He got the game. It was like he's a big stock guy too, so the crossover between that and him making picks every day, it's really like a match, perfect match for us.
That's cool. That's what's up. Me and Nando, we've talked to. I mean, we've been doing shows for a long time. And I remember back in the day interviewing Nigel and Jason Robbins and all of that stuff. And one of the interesting things when we talked to Nigel was hearing about the story of FanDuel and how it kind of came about at South by Southwest. How did Jock Market come about? Where did the thought process come from? Like, what were you into at the time? What were you looking to do? How did Jock Market become to be the app that's on our phones today?
Yeah, no, great question. So working with my co-founder Tyler at our previous company, we played a lot of DraftKings and FanDuel on our own, and obviously we liked it. We loved playing, but figured there were other ways out there, other ways to play that'd be more interesting. And we've also both been interested in investing for a long time, and it was kind of crazy that the stock market and sports concept hadn't really been. I mean, it'd been people had tried it before, but that it hadn't really worked. And then the daily fantasy spin really showed us an opportunity to make it work where you can have an intrinsic value for those shares. So you have people coming and buying in shares, but if it's a perpetual market, the shares never pay out. It's kind of hard to figure out what they'll be worth. But in a daily market, you buy those shares, in the afternoon. By that evening, for the most part, they're going to pay out real cash. So you have an intrinsic value. I think this is going to be worth X dollars by the end of the night. So now I have a number I can come and pay for it. So that's really where we saw the opportunity. It's just a matter of making the game work within fantasy sports regulations and making it fun and interesting and give people the opportunity to make money by playing.
We'd like to thank Jock Market for sponsoring the Playbook with Fensty and Ronis. Jock Market. Make real money every second of the game.
Hot route! Red 7, red 7, red 7! Don!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Hot routes are hot takes for the upcoming week of the NFL season from Fensty and Ronis.
That's what we call a sack lunch! Nom, 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 nom.
Let's get back to the playbook on the Bettor Sports Network.
We always like to have a hot route. Maybe for some reason the plan just crumbles. Like, for instance, I'm sure a lot of you thought when you woke up this morning, hey, it's going to be great. I'm going to get a nice lead, and then Jamar Chase is just going to put me way over the mark there and give me a nice sizable victory on Monday night. Not going to happen. According to the Adam Schefter reports that we've seen, 4 to 6 weeks with a hip injury. And like Ronis mentioned before, it's a hip. That timetable can be lengthened. And that is a massive injury and a blow when it comes to fantasy football in our industry here. We'll talk about some of the movers and shakers in Adam Ronis' weekly rankings that are up on fantasyalarm.com. But first, because we always like to talk about opportunities that you have to win on Bettor Sports Network, and we're giving away another cool prize, and you could be a winner. Join Moose and Keith tomorrow morning, 11 Eastern, for your chance to win an autographed Lendale White Titans jersey. To be eligible, you need to download the free Bettor Sports Network app, register for free, and be listening live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, courtesy of GetInTheGame.com and Bettor Sports Network. No purchase necessary, must be 18 or over. Winners within the last 90 days are not eligible. Man, Lendale White, Roan, that's about, 10 years ago at this point for us? Maybe more. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and I'll have to do a little research. Lendale White, did he play with Reggie Bush at USC? I believe it was like the 1-2 punch with them two here. Do you remember Lendale White at all?
Of course I do. Come on. What kind of question is that?
I don't know, man. It's like,
I've been playing this game for a while. You called me old earlier saying I need plastic surgery. How would I not know about Lendale White?
I didn't say you needed plastic surgery. I just said I could tell. I just said I could tell you haven't had it. Look at me. I haven't had any plastic surgery or anything.
Clearly,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Neither of you. So, by the way, Al Williams here, Bettor Al there. I love that being in the chat with us. What's going on, Al? Is confirming, I'm sure, that the 1-2 punch from USC. What's funny is, did you see Reggie Bush in the Wendy's commercial recently? Have you seen that?
No. I know you actively see commercials for Wendy's because you love Wendy's.
No, first of all, I have not.
And you should not be like Anthony Edwards eating Popeyes and that stuff. Maybe you wouldn't look as old as you did if you cut that food out.
Okay. Were you not talking in our show chat yesterday while we were on the air about KFC versus Popeyes?
Yeah, but did you see? You always don't read everything.
Because I'm hosting a show and I'm seeing.
Okay, then, but you clearly saw what I was saying in the chat about that, but you didn't see the part where I said I haven't had KFC in years?
No, I haven't. I was just shocked that you can put that into a rankings. I don't think you eat fast food. And you're saying that Popeyes is so much better?
I try to stay away from it at all.
But dude, let me just say this, man. When you're like this, you're all or nothing. You can't see, like, you know what?
That's not true.
Once every 6 months, I want a Big Mac. You wouldn't be cool with that.
No, once every 6 months? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
What about once every 6 weeks?
It's okay, but I mean, again, but then what are you going to do? Oh, a Big Mac once every 6 weeks, Wendy's once every 6 weeks,
No.
Burger King once every, then, what are you,
No.
it's defeating the purpose.
No,
So,
of course not. Of course not. No, but yeah, the whole Anthony Edwards Towns thing that's going on right now there. It's just, yeah, I don't get how athletes do it, man. Those crazy carb meals make you tired.
yeah, I mean, look, I get they're younger, 22, 23, but come on, man. Like, here's the thing. Your body is your vehicle and tool for success. You should take care of it, and you have the ability to have best nutritionist and be taken care of. I think what the problem is, the average person, number one, they don't have the knowledge about a lot of the food, and they don't have the means. Like it's expensive, especially now with inflation, to eat healthy. So a lot of people can't. And I think a lot of people don't realize too that a lot of the ingredients in the United States are really bad. If you do some research and dig, even the same product in the US and Europe, the ingredients are different. A lot of things that are legal here to put in the food are outlawed in Europe.
No, and that makes sense too. I mean, aren't we the top country when it comes to obesity?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, just walk outside, look around, It's true though, man. It's sad, Again, I don't eat like perfect. I try. It is difficult, but like I said with soda, one of the worst things for you. I don't drink soda. The only time I drink soda is when I mix it with liquor, and I don't even drink liquor that much anymore. So
yeah, soda, soda. Yes, I see that's water. Good job, Rodas. Soda for me, it's a vice. We've talked about this. I know it's not healthy. I get it. I totally understand that.
Cocaine is a vice. It's not good for you.
Yes, of course. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Please, you think me? I've got all the energy in the world. That's the last thing.
That's why you have the energy.
That is not why.
Just kidding. I don't want to spread false rumors.
No, you're already talking about how it's like me hitting on you and stuff like that. And it's like only so much. Let's get back and talk a little bit of football news here. From what we're seeing, Alan Lazard, he's not thinking that he's going to be playing this week. Jahan Dotson, according to Coach Rivera, likely out too. We'll have to also watch to see what happens with guys like Ryan Tannehill as well here, Rome, because he's a little bit banged up and he might not play.
Yeah, I mean, that really won't matter from a fantasy perspective. I don't think people are playing Tannehill unless you're in a super flex league. And it's not like you're using any of their receivers. I mean, Derrick Henry's the only player I think anyone's using in Tennessee right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't trust Robert Woods. And
no, unless you like 4 points, then yeah, you can.
I don't like 4 points. I get 4 points from enough players on certain teams here. By the way, Marty is saying that when you do cut your hair, and I agree with this, Marty, yeah, you should save it to see how it looks. So here's what you're going to do, Roan. The next time you get your hair cut, you're going to send the hair down along with the Gary Cohen bobblehead, which I'm very excited to get, by the way. Send them both down. I'll wear the hair on top of my head and see if it makes me look a little bit younger.
Well, that's like Matt, that's like an Impractical Jokers. I mean, I know you didn't see the whole thing, but one time they had Q shave his head and then Murr had to wear it on his head for a full season.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so maybe we could do that with you.
Yeah. I would do that. What the hell, right? It can't get much worse when it comes to everything up here. You mentioned this before. Russell Wilson is practicing, and it's looking like, at least according to him, and the whole clown show that he's brought to this NFL season, he is expecting to play there. So that is what we're looking at. Ron, when looking at your rankings, your weekly rankings that you have at fantasyalarm.com, anyone that you've moved up astronomically going into this week? Obviously, Tyler Boyd is a free square because of now.
Well, I didn't get to do it yet because it broke right before the show, so I didn't have the opportunity yet to make that change, but that will be obvious. Let's see who moved up significantly this week.
I got someone. I haven't looked yet, but let me ask you something. Where do you have Marquise Goodwin?
I mean, he wasn't ranked last week, so yeah, he did rise pretty, but it's not as high. I think it's like actually outside the top 50.
Okay, interesting here because you got both Metcalf and Lockett that are a little bit banged up right now too. Who are some of the players that have moved up into that are not in no man's land right now?
There's no one significant, man. At least I'm looking at receiver now. I mean, McLaurin's moved up a little bit because it looks like Heineke likes him. DJ Moore has probably moved up, but you got to feel better about him right now. Pretty good matchup, getting a big target share with McCaffrey gone. Wan'Dale Robinson, I mean, I've been pretty high on him anyway. He's in the wide receiver 3 area right now.
That I saw? Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth, you have him as a top 6 tight end this week, right?
Do I?
I think you do. I was looking at it before. I'm looking. Yeah, you have him number 6 this week.
I mean, well, because you can't. I have to move Pitts down further, man, because
he's at 10 right now.
Yeah,
look at you, Dulcich at 11. I like that.
Yeah, I'm playing him in a few leagues this week. I got to move Hurst up now too. So he's got to move up. Dulcich has moved up. So yeah, but Hurst got to go up for sure now. I don't have Waller in there yet either.
Right.
So obviously Harrison Bryant went from not ranked to, he's viable now to use. I have him as a top 20 tight end, and I think at 18 could be a little low because they don't have. He's a good, talented tight end. Njoku was getting a decent target share. So, yeah, this week has been one of the more challenging ones for the rankings because, I got to remove Alan Lazard now. Sounds like he's not going to play. He said he heard a crack pop in his shoulder. That's not good. And he basically said, yeah, I'm probably not going to be out there. If a player says that, he's not playing. So he's definitely, I would say, not going to play this week. So I got to take him out. But I don't really think it helps much in Green Bay. It's not like, I got to start Romeo Doubs now. Why? This is like a tough matchup in Buffalo. Not a lot there in Green Bay.
No, you can't have any confidence. Dobbs 0. Come on, against the Commanders of all teams. Just unfortunate, just par for the course when it comes to what some of the things we're dealing with in the 2022 fantasy football season. Let's get to our hash out here. As you know, going back to even before the season, Ronas and I had a very famous Waffle House trip in which I'd never been to Waffle House, and I never realized that they have a zillion ways they can prepare your hash browns. So what have we done? We've taken those hash brown preparations and we've turned them into a fantasy and wagering type of deal here. So let's get to our weekly hash out here on the Playbook on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronas, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Hang out in the Bettor Zone, where you track NFL live action on Bettor Sports Network.
Joe Burrow is going off.
Burrow catches the shotgun snap. He's back to throw. He's going to throw it high and deep for Chase. Jamal has the ball. It is a touchdown.
27-33, 425, 3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
Boyd has 7 for 146 and a touch. Chase has 6 for 116 and 2. Higgins has 4 for 80. Even Hayden Hurst 5 for 41. And even Mixon, they're not running the ball. And I applaud the Bengals. I've been complaining about them. That Thursday night game against Miami, they kept running Mixon. They weren't picking up yards. This is how the Bengals should play. Yes. You have Chase, Boyd, Higgins, throw the football.
Cannot defend them. You're exactly right. Listen, nobody on earth is going to tell me there's a defense in the NFL that can defend those 3 receivers. Then you play like this, and then it opens up Joe Mixon. It opens up things in the running game. I'm 100% with you about how they should be playing.
Inside handoff to Travis Etienne into the end zone. Touchdown! Travis Etienne, a 7-yard touchdown run.
You know when Etienne's got the ball, there's a different gear right there right now. And I just think I got to start feeding him the ball more.
And they kind of know it. Like you said, it's kind of trending there right now. They need to get him the football. I mean, he's the most explosive player on that offense. They don't have a lot of speed at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So they need to get him the ball if they want to have success. And I think they know it, and you're starting to see it more.
Lamar Jackson, for Lamar not to account for a touchdown, that's pretty tough considering what you expect from Lamar on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and it's like 4 straight weeks now that he has 1 passing touchdown or less, and he's reached 200 passing yards 1 time in those 4.
They're just ruining prime years of Lamar Jackson's career with this guy, Greg Roman. They are.
Yeah, man, and and he's playing for the contract too.
Yep.
But yeah, it sucks because I think if we had this discussion a couple weeks ago, we'd be like, oh yeah, Lamar easy in that top discussion, and now it's like you're gonna play him if you have him. I have him in multiple leagues. You're not benching him, but this is not what you pay for.
Hang out in the Bettor Zone for a better NFL game day experience. Sundays at 1 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Stopping where you see the big yellow sign. You like service and good food where you dine. You always know, just down the road, food fast at the Waffle House.
Smothered, covered, diced. It's time for the Playbook's weekly fantasy football hash out.
Order up. Let's hash it out. Let's order up. Let's talk some football, some more football here on Bettor Sports Network. This is the Playbook powered by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis, and we're talking about everything Week 8. Keep the comments coming in today. By the way, we will get to them as well throughout the rest of this hour here before we send you off to Rick Kamla for Bettor Sports Live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, Ron, you know the deal by now, although you know what? I made a little bit of a change after last week. Got to give a little bit of a credit to AB, the resource, Adam Bernard, our producer here, for suggesting maybe we take the hash out and we cut one of the preparations out. And I thought, Ronis, we were just kind of beating the dead horse when it came to just the normal hash browns there. You know, what team do you think is spreading too thin? So we
I was going to tell you that too.
Yeah, man. Tell you that. Yeah, it's redundant at this point. It's the same few teams every single week when it comes to the Chiefs, the Jets, whatnot. So this week, Chiefs wouldn't even be eligible for the answer. So we took that out. And let's start with smothered. For those that have been to Waffle House, if you get your hash brown smothered, you're getting them with onions in it. So with that, who is one player or DFS or team for betting that we can see the most money being on, or most of the money being on, whether it's ownership for DFS or money for betting, and where's the money gravitating towards in week number 8, Rome, a team or a player that you have?
It's going to be Derrick Henry. The offense is centered around him. He gets the football most of the time, and the Texans allow the most fantasy points to the running back position. They got blasted last week by Josh Jacobs for 143 and 3 touchdowns. Even Khalil Herbert this year had 157 and 2. Jonathan Taylor had 161. So, yeah, they really struggle to stop the run. And we know Derrick Henry is just going to be getting a huge workload. So I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I know he's expensive, but I think people will play him. They'll look to get him in. They'll look to play his player props as well. So I'm sure it's going to be close to 100 yards would be my guess. Let me see if it's out yet. I do see. Okay. Wow. 98.5 yards on DraftKings. That's going to go over 100.
Wow, there you go right there. So Derrick Henry was on my list too. Normally what happens is if Ronis goes first, I'll come up with a few options in case he takes one of them. So we're on the same page with Derrick Henry there. I'm going to go with another running back here, and that's Saquon Barkley. I mean, the Seahawks have given up a lot on the ground, and I'm hoping that Daniel Jones also finds a way to throw to him a little bit more, because they've surrendered a lot of yards too when it comes to receiving yards to running backs. In fact, they are second in the league behind Kansas City. We were making fun of Kansas City even before. Now they're on bye, so they're catching up. Kansas City was beating teams that were playing games when it comes to that yardage. They were beating teams that were higher than teams that had played a full game less than them at the time. But now they have 448 yards surrendered against them when it comes to receiving yards for running backs. At 409, the Seahawks here, Roan. I'm all in. Once again, I feel like he's been my answer for half of this year, but I think Saquon Barkley's in line for a huge week.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting the volume every single week. It's a good matchup, so absolutely makes sense.
Yes, up next here, covered, probably my favorite because I love cheese, because cheese is awesome, and it makes just about everything except desserts taste better. So a team that will cover the spread, or a player in DFS that will hit their value in week number 8. Who do you have, Roan, for a team or a player?
Well, I mean, this one might be easy, assuming Zeke is out, but Tony Pollard, 6,300 on FanDuel, 6,100 on DraftKings. It sounds like Zeke's going to miss the game. I did take him out of my rankings today, so he'll probably be pretty popular. We know the Bears have really struggled to stop the run. I know we didn't really see it last week, but the Patriots stopped running because they were playing from behind, but we know Dallas will run the football a lot. He'll be involved in the passing game as well, so it's hard not to see Tony Pollard.
Yes, and for me, and this is something that I might as well pay it off, and we're going to pay it off further when it comes to tomorrow for Prop Wars. But Ken Walker's just got such an excellent matchup, especially after what we saw him do against the Chargers here. The Giants give up so many yards on the ground. We're talking about a team that has banged up receivers at this point. Don't know who will be active when it comes to their pass catchers here. Ken Walker being in line, this is someone that I'm going to be all in on. You were just given that price point in DFS on DraftKings, 6,500. I'm all in on this.
That's
guy.
all. That's all he is.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, that's insane, man.
Yeah, I mean,
how has that price not gone up higher? I don't get that.
I don't get it too, man. It's one of those things where he's going to be, in the milli, he's going to be 90% owned at that point. So it's right at that price. I mean, how many other?
I don't know, because then people will be like, well, he's so cheap, he's going to be rostered. And again, when you're playing, especially if you have multiple entries, you have to go. You can't roster too many popular guys. Now you can do a couple, but there will be some people who will be like, yeah, just too much ownership there. Because again, you get to her early now, and that many people have it, you have a leg up. Because it's a different mentality when you're playing in the large pool GPPs.
Sure. No, but I mean, still in line for a great matchup, great price point, going all in on there. That's why I'm thinking that he's going to cover that pricing value, get us a nice return right there. All right, up next when it comes to our hash out here, Chunked. That is if you want some ham in your hash browns. It was one team or even a player that we would double down on them, thinking that they're a lock and will give us a high amount of production. And Ron, I'll start here because you already mentioned my guy for this. Tony Pollard with the same mindset that you have, thinking that Zeke is not going to play in an excellent matchup against Chicago. More volume for him, more success going his way.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely be popular. I mean, again, there's some good options this week, though, because you mentioned Walker, Pollard, they're in the same tier of pricing, Barkley, Henry. So, and maybe more injuries open up something else as well. But yeah, I mean, Pollard is in a good spot. People have kind of been waiting for this that have him. I think I only have him in one league, and so it's nice to have him. Like I said, I have no Zeke this year. I stayed away from him.
So when it comes down to for you, who is your chunk player?
I'm going to go with Chris Olave. Again, he's cheap, 6,000 on DK, 6,900 on FanDuel. He's got a 27% target share, almost 10 targets a game. And, Michael Thomas is MIA, Jarvis Landry's MIA, and a pretty good matchup here against the Raiders. So he's got to get the volume there. And, 14 targets last week. And again, a good matchup here against Vegas. So that price, definitely good play there.
Mentioned before that still not practicing Michael Thomas, Adam Troutman, Jarvis Landry, working grind is asking us about interest level when it comes to Traquan Smith, which I know that we're still in that gray area. Let's just assume.
Wait, speaking of the Raiders, some news here. Tom Pelissero reports that Devontae Adams missed practice for a second straight day while battling what sources describe as a bad flu. There's optimism he'll be over it and ready to go on Sunday.
Wow. Not good right there. Because
why is it not good?
Wait, that there's optimism that he'll be over
he'll be over it and ready to go Sunday.
Right. Hopefully he doesn't get too dehydrated, though. That's going to be big for him here.
I mean, again, best nutritionist, everyone helping him out, ready to go. Let's go, Devontae.
No, do not, Devontae. Do not. Two things. Don't push any cameramen and don't eat any fast food here.
Oh, come on, man. He didn't intentionally push that guy. That guy.
I know. Did you see what he did last week, though?
Yeah, that was smart.
He's going to make a mockery of that the rest of the way. You realize that, right?
Good.
Cameraman's in sight. He's just going to stand there and wait like this. What are your thoughts on Traquan Smith? Working grind was asking us in the chat.
I mean, you got to be desperate to use him. I mean, they spread the ball around. It's Callaway, him, Johnson. I mean, Traquan Smith is not someone that I'm going to say, oh, yeah, get him in your lineup. I mean, he's outside the top 50 for me at wide receiver.
Yeah, you say some people might be desperate here. Some people may. By the way, I may be desperate. I'm dealing with so many injury issues on another team. I may actually have to start Darius Slayton this week, Roan. Darius Slayton. Now, You mentioned that we've talked about Daniel Jones and for him being a good streamer and everything there. Obviously, Kadarius Toney hasn't been there regardless anyway. I might need just like a long bomb or something to Darius Slayton, Rome, because I might be in a desperate situation come Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams are, especially with the injuries. Bye week's not as bad this week, just 2 teams on bye. But, if you have a player from Kansas City and the Chargers, could be in a situation like that. And we all have teams like that where we're kind of just like playing and starting players that we don't want to, but we kind of don't have any choice.
No, we don't. Diced here for those that like tomatoes. Let's talk a little bit about tomatoes in your hash browns at Waffle House. And this one's not an easy one, especially when we have a lot of injuries. I will tell you this, when it comes to a player or an underdog bet that you would roll the dice on, Roan, do you have a player or a team, an underdog that you're willing to roll the dice on?
Yeah, let me see the best one. A lot of low spreads this week. So for me, I'm going to go with Arizona plus 3.5. I know people will think I'm crazy, like, oh, Minnesota's 5-1, but Minnesota has gotten a little fortunate and lucky here. And again, I don't like the Cardinals that much. I think they have a lot of issues, but this is kind of more against the Vikings, and you get the hook. The Vikings kind of beat the Dolphins. They weren't impressive in that game. They weren't impressive against the Bears. They weren't impressive in London against the Saints. They had to come from behind to beat the Lions. I know they're coming off a bye, but Arizona is coming off playing a Thursday night game. Arizona's defense has been a lot better since the beginning of the season. And DeAndre Hopkins back is a big boost for them. They might get James Conner back, although I don't know if that's positive. Benjamin's look good, and Keontae Ingram might want to continue to use Benjamin a little bit. But, the Vikings are a team that tends to play close games, and Kingsbury's better as an underdog. So I like the Cardinals to cover this number.
Yeah. For me, and it's probably now you're not going to happen. So Giants fans, you could blame me for this one if it doesn't happen here. But the Giants being underdogs, Roan, and if it screws me, it screws me. I know what Seattle's capable of offensively. I totally understand that. But if the Giants are still going to continue to beat dogs, I'm going to have to roll with them as well, man. I know I don't want to – I'm not going to say it's anything like a free square or a layup. They've proven themselves time and time again. We've seen this Seattle team let down too. So I think the Giants will be able to compete. And I think the Giants plus 3 is not going to be my underdog bet for this week.
Yeah, I mean, one of these weeks they're not going to cover. I think it could be this week, but at this point, it's hard to argue against them. But it's 2 similar teams, right? 2 teams that have kind of been undervalued. Although I was on Seattle last week getting the points, and they did win. But I think it's 2 teams that people did not expect to be very good this year, and they're both exceeding expectations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just it's crazy to think that we've had to rely on Geno Smith for the last number of weeks now this year. Just a crazy year. I mean, you've got teams that just aren't throwing, teams that are throwing, multiple teams where you've seen the majority of games fewer than 20 passes thrown. That's the world that we're living in right now with some of these teams. Some of these quarterbacks that we've been waiting on, that we waited on to draft, not coming through, especially waiting on that value, 9th and 10th round. There are 2 schools of thought here when thinking about next year. Number one, the paranoia that's going to be there that might push back up quarterbacks and might prioritize quarterbacks and the high-end quarterbacks, the Josh Allens of the world, to make sure you get them so you don't have to deal with it. I know every year is different, Roan, but doesn't a year like this make you think that next year there will be a little bit more prioritization when it comes to getting a top 4 quarterback?
You would think so. People go by recency bias. So I want it. A lot's going to depend on how the rest of the season goes. Some of these guys could turn it around and maybe people change their mind. But I think a lot's going to depend on how the rest of the season goes.
Yes. For those that are just joining us here on Bettor Sports Network, here's what we're dealing with. All 3 of when it comes to tonight's game between the Ravens and the Buccaneers, players that are in at this point here from what we're seeing, all confirmation from Adam Schefter expected to play are Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, and Gus Edwards. Still nothing on when any kind of workload details that Edwards is going to have. But as we've been talking about all show, Edwards shouldn't be getting a full workload coming off of the game a few days ago, his first game back after injury there. When it comes to the Buccaneers side of it, Julio Jones expected to play, Russell Gage, Cameron Brate, Both of them will not play. Also saw Carlton Davis will be out as well. So that is what we're looking at right now when it comes to these two teams. We are halfway through our hash out for week 8 of the fantasy football and NFL season. We'll continue talking that, then end it with a little basketball with the 4-game slate. We'll talk about what players and maybe some props that were on for tonight's action. It's the Playbook on BSN.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis is sponsored by Jock Market.
Co-founder of Jock Market. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Thank you for
coming on.
sponsoring the show on the network and everything, man. We much appreciate it.
How would you recommend a novice make their introduction into Jock Market?
For most people, we recommend we have free beginner contests. So anyone, if you played fewer than 50 events, free to enter. And instead of trading with cash like you do in our cash markets, we give everyone chips, the same number of chips to trade. And, we rank people at the end based on how many chips you finish with. So totally free to enter, only against other novices. And you can sort of build a portfolio in a way that you would with real cash, just in a way that's a little more risk-free. For the people that are more, a little more adventurous and you want to deposit right away, I'd say pick, 1 or 2 players you think are going to be undervalued. And it's just that simple, right? They're undervalued today. I think they're going to outperform. Buy a couple shares and watch what happens to the price. Watch where people are offering to pay for them. And then as the game goes on, you say like, hey, Lamar Jackson's having a real bad first half, let's say. He's probably going to be the most expensive player. There might be opportunity to buy low on him or kind of watch as the game goes on and how the prices react. I'd say that's probably the best way to.
So it's like a second screen experience where you kind of have to have it up while you're watching the games on Sunday and stuff like that to really be able to truly take advantage, huh?
Actually, what's great is that we have a lot of people that do that, but a lot of people will buy before the games and just
come back and check.
Yeah, because we have the guaranteed payouts at the end. You don't have to trade. There might be an opportunity for you to, reallocate your funds or invest more, buy, sell, short sell, whatever you want to do. But we have plenty of people who just buy and hold, and that's their whole experience, and they do pretty well on that.
Jock Market, stay in the game.
I'll have a side of hash browns, drawn, pummeled, and flummoxed, please.
What the hell?
I'm sorry, did I say something wrong?
You out behind the ears, waffle noob? We eat hash browns one way down south. Chapped and chiseled, red ashed and soft grizzled, muddy with a bloody buddy.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The Week 8 hash out continues here on the Playbook, talking about hash browns from Waffle House in relation to the NFL and fantasy football too. We've got a few more to go. We'll update you on some news, talk a little NBA here on the Playbook. By the way, still also reading your comments in the comment section. Smash the fun button if you're having fun, or even if you're not having fun, smash the button anyway. How about this one from Working Grind, Rome? Because this is someone that almost made the dice list for me. We'll have to see what we're looking at when it comes to health among the receivers in Detroit. But what do you think about Khalif Raymond, who's gotten 13 targets in his last 2 games? I mean, is this somebody that if we need this week, I guess it's based off how the health of Reynolds. And of course, I mean, we should be having everything all set with St. Brown, St. Brown and Swift. But still, what are your thoughts on Raymond here?
I mean, desperation play. I picked them up in a league that's very deep, but it's difficult to start him with confidence, especially with St. Brown likely back and Swift putting in a full practice 2 days in a row. I think it's a long shot.
Let's talk a little bit more about our hash out. We're up to peppered here when it comes to our hash browns here, and you want some jalapenos in there, spice it up just a little bit. So we take a running back, receiver, or tight end drafted outside of the first 5 rounds in 12-team leagues that we expect to be peppered with targets this week. And I already mentioned this before, and I'm telling you, and you guys can believe me or not, I had Tyler Boyd on this list before the Jamar Chase news was announced, only because, like I said, I think Joe Burrow has been excellent getting them all involved here. So I'm going to stick with it there, but also I guess the other option would be, because it's obvious, Chris Olave. Anybody else that you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, I mean, Olave's kind of been there for weeks, so I kind of dismiss him, but I'll go Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson, just another player here. Again, for those that haven't been hanging with the football news, the Giants making a trade today. Kadarius Toney going to the Kansas City Chiefs. further complicating who's going to be getting how many targets there in their offense once they're off of bye. Thank God we don't have to worry about that this week. But that's going to be a real pain, Ron. I mean, we talk about it when it comes to this team. You just don't know. I mean, Travis Kelce's Travis Kelce. But even with the run game, too, there's just a lot of unknown regarding the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is a team that before the season started, draft season, I wanted at least one share of someone there because I wanted to be involved in the Patrick Mahomes business.
I mean, Mahomes told us before the year, he said, sorry, fantasy players, ball's going to be spread out. And it kind of has. I mean, we've seen Juju get a decent amount of targets the last couple of weeks. We know Kelce was going to get his. MVS has been up and down. Harbin had a big game last week, but he has not been heavily involved. And the same thing with the running backs. It's basically they're playing three different guys right now. So we kind of knew that this was going to be the case going in.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I never know whether or not, we've talked about this 1,000 times. I never know whether or not to believe them or not and especially when they address fantasy, but he was right. He was totally right, Mahomes, on it. So I guess it's us. We're the stupid idiots there for those that didn't believe him there. But still, it's been just annoying with figuring out who's getting at least 6 targets in this offense. Yeah, outside of course, Travis Kelce. But yeah, Kadarius Toney, that doesn't necessarily mean, all of a sudden the world is his oyster. He's got a number of receivers that he's going to be competing with for targets. Let's get to Cap in case you want mushrooms in your hash browns at Waffle House. And an offense whose upside could be capped due to having a bad matchup this weekend, Roan. The 3 teams, and you can tell me if there are any others that are added to the table. You've got the Packers for obvious reasons because Buffalo is very tough. The Colts, and then I put this because the Colts, obviously, with what they're dealing with, we're going to have to see how much they're going to throw here with Ellinger as starting quarterback. And then the Steelers there, too, I put on this list as well. Any other teams that you have for capped?
No, I think Packers. I'm not really worried about the Colts and Steelers. I'm going to play their guys. But it's the Packers going into that environment. Buffalo, top 5 DVOA offense and defense. And it's not like they have a lot of guys that we feel good about anyway. I mean, hopefully you have not been relying on Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully you've not been playing A.J. Dillon the last couple of weeks. Aaron Jones, yes, but maybe Tunyon if you're desperate at tight end. But it's kind of about it at this point.
Yeah. Just a team that we haven't been able to trust for the most part. A.J. Dillon, man, I'm hoping at some point they figure it out with him. At some point he gets it going. He can run. You're right. You can't start him. You can't. He's become maybe top 5, top 10 least trustworthy player in fantasy football, especially thinking where we were drafting him too. I know, Roan, there was a league where I believe you drafted Saquon and then you waited on drafting running backs before drafting him, man. That's killer, unfortunately.
No, it's not, because I also have Eno Benjamin, who's been in there, and Darrell Henderson and Gus Edwards. So not worried about Dillon. He can stay on the bench.
Yeah, at least my team's there. I need him to perform. Come on, AJ, and come on, Rodgers. Keep throwing to Aaron Jones. Good things happen when you do so. Give him more than a few targets. Come on, he deserves more than a few BS targets. And give A.J. Dillon some goal line work as well. Let him run in some touchdowns. Make us all feel like we're not stupid for drafting this guy. I'll admit it. Please, I don't care. I mean, come at me. I don't care. I said it, and I'm totally going to be wrong about it, that I said A.J. Dillon was going to have 10 touchdowns this year. 10. Not going to happen. Got that one wrong, and I feel pretty stupid, but I just thought that both of them, meaning Aaron Jones, meaning A.J. Dillon, I just thought that both have established roles. Both would be able to be productive. We've seen it before. It's funny because we goof on Hackett all the time as a head coach, but when he was in Green Bay, he was able to utilize both backs and do a good job doing so, man. That might be, I think A.J. Dillon for me might be my biggest L in fantasy this year because I was all over him, mentioned him every other sentence as someone that I love, articles, videos regarding him and his ADP at the time. That's probably my biggest L for the year.
Yeah, that's tough because I think a lot of people were drafting him 5th, 6th round thinking they're going to use both backs, and he's been someone that you really can't start for a while now.
Najee Harris is my other big L too. Just someone that I thought would have a good year. Now I'm trying to figure out why. And yeah, Rome, you were saying bad offensive line probably not going to work in his favor. And we saw him start to fall. I ended up taking the bait at the end of the first round in one league. In another league, I took the bait before he was falling, 9th overall. Just not a good situation to be in. Just it's hard when your top picks are not performing up to standard here. But like we're saying, when scoring's down, we got to manage our expectations a little bit more. I think I said this on a show the other day, and that's if you're expecting your first or second round pick, even your first 3 round picks, to get 20 plus in a PPR every single week, your expectations are too high, and you have to be okay with even your top guys, Rome, getting 15 to 18 points. Yeah, we want those 45-point weeks. But with what we're seeing with the scoring, man, it's going to be few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, you have to adjust to what's going on. And, those elite players that are putting up big numbers every week make a difference, which is why a guy like Jamar Chase is such a huge loss, because that was a guy you were counting on for elite production every week, and now that is gone from your team.
Yes, we don't know when we're going to see him again. Right now, 4 to 6 weeks is the timetable for this hip injury, according to Adam Schefter. But we'll see if he's able to make that timetable happen and fully recover in time. Let's talk about top tier for those that like their hash browns topped with some chili right there at Waffle House. The number has been 33, so a quarterback that we should expect the top 33 pass attempts this week. Now, last week, I made the bet on the top player here. I don't know if I'm going to make this bet for Prop Wars tomorrow, but somebody I think that has a good shot at throwing at least 34 passes in their Week 8 matchup, Jared Goff. And this one has a 51.5 total right there. Miami can put points on the board, so I'm thinking Jared Goff is throwing at least 34 in the air. Rome, where are you going?
Tom Brady. He's done it every week except week 1 against Dallas when he had 27. Since then, 34, 42, 52, 52, 40, 49. They have not had success running the football. Ravens have been susceptible against the pass. So hopefully Brady is awake long enough to get there. But I do think he will get there. I was trying to figure out my risk-free same-game parlay on FanDuel for tonight. It's I mean, I don't know. This is what I have now. It's got to be at least plus 400. So Mark Andrews, 25 receiving yards or more. Cade Otton, 25 receiving yards or more. Evans, 50 receiving yards or more. Lamar Jackson, 40 rushing yards or more. Godwin, 40 receiving yards or more. And Bateman, 40 receiving yards or more. That's plus 589.
I'm trying to think which one stands out. It's probably not going to happen. Probably the Mike Evans one. Every leg will hit except for the Mike Evans one, right? I kind of like that, though. I mean,
right? I mean, I think it's okay.
From what I've read, Brady likes Otton.
Oh, yeah. I like what I've seen from Cade Otton. So I was even going to – and his prop has risen. I think it was once like 29. I think it's up to 34. But, I don't care about Julio Jones coming back. I think he still will get it. He's been 64 last week, 23, 43, 29. Brate's out again. So, 25 is not a lot. Again, he's gotten there 3 of the last 4 weeks. So – I think that's viable.
Was that in the 40s, right? Because I
40 yards or more.
Okay, so and I remember when you.
I guess the Lamar Jackson rushing, but I figure he's gonna run a lot tonight.
Yeah,
let me see.
We're assuming, and yeah, there are other options that they can turn to besides Gus Edwards, but we're assuming that Edwards isn't going to get a full workload.
Oh my God, Lamar has at least 58 rushing yards in 6 straight games. I mean, to ask for 40, so I guess I'll bet this. It's risk free. I think it's reasonable that this hits, right?
Yeah, I mean, I there's no leg where I'm like, dude, it's not happening.
All right, I'm going to do it. It's risk-free. If I don't get it, I get a risk-free bet. So,
by the way, the team...
All right, it's in.
There you go, just like that. Rodas got a same-game parlay tonight. So
hey, if they're going to give me these risk-free bets, I'm going to take it. I did it the other night for the TNT. I didn't hit. Then they gave me the bet, and I took a real long shot last night that didn't hit. Sometimes I'll take a real long shot sometimes.
Both these teams are very close, by the way, in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. Tampa's at 128 and Baltimore is at 132. Right on top of each other.
To running backs, right?
To quarterbacks.
Rushing yards to quarterbacks?
Yes. The Baltimore Ravens have given up
total or per that's total for the season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I got to look at who they face.
Not
That number
per game.
does nothing for me.
Right. Yeah, no, not per game. That's for darn sure. So, by the way, you know who? Let's see if you know this. You know who is number one, who's allowed the most rushing yards to quarterbacks? Oh, this should be easy, actually. You'll know it.
Should?
Yeah.
Why? Why would it be easy?
Because we just saw someone rush for a quarterback who you had pretty high up in the rankings at one point, rush for a lot of yards against them.
Oh, the Patriots?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, when you play man, sometimes your back's turned, so that allows the quarterback to pick up some yards. So that could be it.
I'm kind of jealous. The more I think about this same game parlay that you have, what, plus 540, something like that?
Plus 589.
That's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, they always look good until the game starts. So
right.
But again, I'll take the shot. And I've been having success with NBA. Like yesterday, after the show, I bet Markkanen over 19.5 points. That hit. And I bet, what was the other bet? Oh, Halliburton, as always. But over 27.5 points in assists, it dropped. So I hit those two. I only played 2 yesterday, and both hit.
We'll talk a little bit of NBA props here. We got one more for the hash out here, and that is Country There for those that want the sausage gravy all over their Waffle House hash browns here. This is someone or a team that we think will either score the most points or a player that has the chance to lead everybody in DFS. And for me, Roan, I mean, I guess you and I are going to have the same answer. I mean, you're going to be on Derrick Henry for this one, ultimately.
I mean, that's an easy one, but I'll go Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, Saquon Barkley on that list for me. Tyreek Hill is a very good one, Roan. That is our weekly hash out that we have here on the playbook every single week. We do it. It combines fantasy and wagering too, and we get to talk about food, which is always a big sell there. Philly Mac saying that when it comes to chili, it's chili ends up in his toilet, though. Has it on hash browns there. So thank you very much right there for that visual, Philly Mac. And want to remind all of you, all of our better fans, that we're giving away another great prize tomorrow. Moose and Keith, 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Your chance to win an autographed Lendale White Titans jersey. And again, to be eligible, download the free Bettor Sports Network app, register for free, and be listening tomorrow live, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, courtesy of gettingthegame.com and Bettor Sports Network. No purchase necessary, must be 18 or over. Winners within the last 90 days are not eligible. Sorry, Philly Mac, my bad. The comments are coming very quickly there. My bad, Philly Mac. I know, terrible person right here. But you're awesome, Philly Mac here, and all of you Bettor fans that hang with us and roll with us all week long, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's get to the NBA. Let's talk 4 games. I've got 5 players that I put in today's DFS starting 5 video. Let's see which one Ronas will ride with or which ones that he doesn't like. Here it is, the playbook on Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronas is sponsored by Jock Market. Make real money every hour, every minute, every second of every game. Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
A 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball like right into his face, right? Like he's coming over to spot it, and it's like every other time the player just like, here you go, here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley is going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Bettor Sports Network. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com, sponsored by Jock Market. Stay in the game.
Big time NBA fans here on Bettor Sports Network on the Playbook. Fensty and Ronis back with you, powered by FantasyAlarm.com, where you can find all of our work. Our show also sponsored by Jock Market. Only 4 games on the Thursday NBA slate, but I still have some content up there on FantasyAlarm.com. For all of you, when it comes to DFS, we'll talk a little wagering as well. Mavs taking on the Nets, the Clippers taking on the Thunder, the Grizzlies taking on the Kings, and the Heat and the Warriors will square off here, Ron. Now, when making the starting 5, I had a very difficult decision because Luka has been absolutely, my MVP has been absolutely outstanding to start the year, and he's 12K on DraftKings. So I thought about that, but I don't know. I mean, the one thing with Luka is we'll see what happens when it comes to him guarding Ben Simmons guarding him. I don't know if that means that would limit him or anything, but I was still debating between him and Ja Morant, and ultimately for the point guard here, I'll actually tell you what I did here. I went for the starting 5, point guard, shooting guard. I went with the Memphis backcourt. I mean, thinking it's going to be a very fast-paced game. Sacramento and De'Aaron Fox haven't been able to guard guards in a long time, pretty much his whole career at this point. And I think Ja Morant is going to smash. I think Desmond Bane also going to smash here. There are going to be a lot of points in this game, a 236.5 total that we're seeing, with Memphis favored by 2.5. And the majority of their offense, the overwhelming majority, is going to be produced by the Grizzlies backcourt. And that's why, Roan, on a short slate, I'm loving both Bane and Morant tonight.
Yeah, hard not to like Morant. I think even De'Aaron Fox on the other side, he has been balling out. So going to look at his player props. But yeah, I mean, for a 4-game slate, there's some pretty appealing matchups on here. Mavericks, Nets. The Nets are on a back-to-back. Luke has been putting up insane numbers. Christian Wood, I'm trying to figure out right now what I'm going to bet with him. I did his points, rebounds the other night. It cashed. I'm trying to – so his 18.5 points over is minus 105 on DK. But his points rebounds is 25.5, and it's juiced up more. It's minus 125. He scored.
I like the points prop, man.
Yeah, I think I might with the points. Get the better
Everyone's
juice.
Been getting to Brooklyn. Everyone's getting to Brooklyn. It's Durant and whoever it is that's in at center at the moment. They haven't been stopping anybody. And that's why
go. You know what? I'm betting that now. Okay, so that bet is in over 18.5 points. Christian Wood's minus 105.
Yes, it's very good. It's funny because the under on DraftKings is at minus 120, which I don't understand why. Do people just not realize that, just because he's coming off the bench, that doesn't mean he's going to lack usage? The guy's been scoring 20 a game.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't at least last game, he didn't take a lot of shots from the field, and he had 10 last game, 12 against Memphis. That was a blowout though, but. Yeah, as long as this game could stay kind of close, and it doesn't look like Brooklyn's resting anyone. Simmons not on a minutes restriction, but yeah, Wood's been 25, 25, 23. gotten to the free throw line in the first 2 games 10 and 14 times, 6 last time. He's hitting threes, 3 threes last game, 4 threes in game 1. So, I mean, in this matchup, he should get there. Maybe we see him a little bit more than McGee too in this matchup, since the pace could be up a little bit potentially. So, I mean, look, Christian Wood's just been underpriced in the prop market right now, probably because he is coming off the bench. So I'll continue to play it. Luka is intriguing too. I got to figure out what to do with him. I mean, obviously the numbers are really high, but
you're not afraid of the Simmons matchup.
I mean, what did Simmons do yesterday?
I know. I'm just, again, it's.
Oh, by the way, so Gus Edwards, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Ronnie Staley, Marlon Humphrey, and Marcus Peters all active for Baltimore tonight.
Yes. So, but still nothing on, and they're not going to give any workload detail.
No, they won't.
So
I just think you have to. I don't know. It could be wrong, but just logically, I don't see how he gets a huge workload. But
expect if you're starting Gus Edwards tonight, just have that expectation he's getting 8 to 10 carries. If he goes over it, then you could cheer. But
yeah, you'll need a touchdown. He's not. They don't pass to the running backs much, so you really need a touchdown for him to come through. Again, in some instances, you can start him. Just saying he's not a must start everywhere. A lot depends on what your alternatives are.
Who do you think is worse for a team, Ben Simmons or Russell Westbrook?
Westbrook.
It's pretty close.
I think with Simmons, I mean, Kyrie made the comments, and I kind of agree with him. It's like he hasn't played in 2 years. You got to be patient. It's going to take him some time adjusting to a new team. So I think that's fair. Whereas you kind of know with Westbrook, and it's just such negative vibes with them right now. And look, I think anyone who follows basketball knew the Lakers are going to be bad. I mean, I said it last year. I was like, their under win total last year was like 50.5. That was the easy one. And I think I saw this today from PointsBet. They're already paying people out on the Lakers under. They said the Lakers suck, so if you took the under on their wins, we're paying you out.
But why would they do that?
A lot of times they do this stuff for publicity. Because if you saw, I think it was DraftKings and FanDuel refunded people who bet on Breece Hall's over for the year. So it's publicity. I mean, yeah, this is from 7 hours ago. PointsBet Sportsbook tweeted out early payout. The Lakers suck right now, so we're paying out everyone who bet under 44.5 and under 45.5 wins for them this season. I mean, they were probably going to get that money anyway. Now you just get it early.
Yeah, it's funny when I was checking this out before on DraftKings before the season started. The under when it came to the odds, the odds were deeper when it came to the under on the 45.5. And yeah, we like to assume that when you have a LeBron James, he'll somehow get it done. This team isn't balanced. This team has no depth. And if you're
bad, I mean, it's 2 good players and that's it.
Right. And unfortunately, the 2 good players are guys who are aging. And especially with one of them being a Mr. Glass type with Anthony Davis. LeBron, though, all of a sudden starting to get a little bit banged up in the years. I mean, we saw that.
He's still playing at an elite level for his age, though, right now.
Right. And here's the other thing, too. With the way they're doing their lineups here, Beverly and Westbrook and starting, it shouldn't be happening like that. They've changed.
Well, Westbrook didn't play last night, and they still lost.
Right. And here's the thing with Westbrook doesn't want to be there. He doesn't. I'm starting to wonder if this team can't start putting some wins together. You know how John Wall got sent home and was essentially paid $40 million just to sit at home? They might do that to Westbrook.
Maybe.
We'll have to see there. But
all right, how about Luka? Damn, man. He's 37, 32, 35. How do you not take his over tonight? Points, rebounds, assists. I mean, okay, so his points is 31.5 minus 125 BetMGM minus 130 on FanDuel. Let's see. What about rebounds and assists? 15.5 minus 140. Damn,
that's
everything's
not bad.
juiced.
Yeah.
Minus 140 though. PRAs. What are the PRAs? Let's see.
Maybe you could parlay the Wood prop that we said with the over 18.5 points with the rebounds and assist prop for Luka.
47.5 PRAs minus 120 BetMGM. I mean, it's a high number, but he's had 55, 49, and 50.
It is a high number. Trust me, man. He's been going over the 5X value at $12K
There was 20, 23, 23, and 30. I watched some of that game against New Orleans the other night. He's great. I think sometimes he's too selfish. Like, I think he needs to pass a little bit more. And you're like, well, he's averaging 7.7 assists, but he has the ball in his hand so much. There were times I'm like, dude, you're getting doubled. Pass the ball.
They don't move, Rome. No one else
forces
is
stuff
moving.
too much. But
You're
yeah,
right.
because they're used to him just again, he's a great player. And a lot of times I want him to take the shot, but I felt the other night he forced too much, and it kind of cost them. They should not have lost to New Orleans. It was so shorthanded.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of isolation in general? I think it's situational, but I don't think it should be the main way of a team's offense. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Teams start to adjust. They put
Wow, he's actually shooting 25% from 3-point range this year.
Right. He should
struggle there. I mean, he's been better from the free
makes the rebounds and assist prop a little bit more juicy, just in case Ben Simmons tries to play or is able to play his elite level style patent and defense on him. Then he'll be passing off more, and you can make it up for it in dimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's 15.5 at minus 145 though.
Yeah,
but I mean, he should get there, right? I mean, the last two and in this match, I guess the key is, will it be a blowout? Dallas favored by 3. Oh yeah, the Nets are home. Okay. And the Nets were on the road yesterday, right?
The Nets were on the road yesterday, yes.
Yeah, in Milwaukee. So it's not that far of a trip. Dallas has blown leads. I feel like you got to play some Luka props, even though they're high.
Dude, what about Durant props, bro? I mean, let's talk about this. Durant, 28.5 points at minus 125. But when it comes to Kevin Durant, I don't see this Mavs team being able to stop him. As much as I like Dorian Finney-Smith, I don't see him stopping Durant.
Yeah, it's not bad. He's gone over it in 3 or 4.
Christian Wood played some of the worst defense of any big men in the NBA.
Yeah, played 39 minutes last night. This is the first time he's playing a back-to-back this year. So, I mean, I don't think it should be a problem, and they need a win.
He should be able to get 20 to 25 shots tonight, because this Nets team is still missing some of their shooters, and they're going to need to rely on them more.
There's better guys that I like tonight. I mean, it's fine, but I mean, I think Ja Morant at this point in this matchup, I'm probably going to look at his points and assists. I mean, he is playing 37.5. How do I not play that?
I love him tonight, man. I put him in the video over Luka. I love him against the Kings. I'm going to love most guards that are actually skilled in the scoring department. I'm going to love most guards against Kings.
Kings so the only game Ja didn't go over that number was Dallas when they were blown out. They lost by 41, and it was a back-to-back. They were in Houston and in Dallas. Not a short trip, but it was a back-to-back. They just didn't have it. The other games, he's combined for points and assists, 43, 57, and 45. And against Sacramento, I got to play that. Let me bet that now. Right? How do I not play that?
Yeah, no, listen, he's in line for a great game tonight against Sacramento. I'm telling you, it's the pace is turned up. The Kings play some of the fastest basketball and have for the last couple of years. Good pace-up spot for Ja. That's why I never do this. Even on short slates. For the first time, I think maybe ever, I put both members of a backcourt in the starting 5. They're going to smash, I'm thinking, both of them. I got another one for you.
And the total 236. Yeah, I'm gonna do the Ja one right now. I have to. 37.5 points and assists. How do I not play that?
I got one for you. Ivica Zubac, points and rebounds, 22.5. He just destroyed the Thunder. And this is a guy who's capable of scoring in double figures, just grabbed about 14 boards. He's been good. I don't see how the Thunder can adjust to him. And
is he gonna play 35 minutes again?
He could. No Marcus Morris. He could potentially play 35 minutes. He's done it a couple of
George
times.
Should play, right?
George is going to play. I saw the lineup. He's active.
I don't think that
impacts him. I don't think that impacts him as much as Marcus Morris being out.
I think I got to go back to Gilgeous Alexander.
Oh, that's your guy,
right? I mean, how do I not play him again?
No, no Josh Giddey, no Williams still.
Points and assists. It went one up. It went one up from the other night. It was 32.5. Now it's 33.5. Yeah, let me plug that in.
That's good. My one question to you, though.
Today was a busy day, so I didn't get to make bets. I kind of
Sure.
glanced, but that's why I'm making them now because I didn't really have a lot of time today.
My
The
one
Thunder at
question
home.
to you, Ronus.
Yeah.
Here's my one question. With Paul George in this time,
Mm-hmm.
do you worry that he's going to be locked on SGA? And being that he's one of the best wing and perimeter defenders in the league and has been for the last decade at this point, do you worry that he's going to be limited?
Not really. You think he'll be on him all the time? I don't know about that.
I don't know why he wouldn't be. I mean, make Lou Dort beat you. Make anybody else on that team beat you.
All right, let me see.
Make Aaron Wiggins beat you. Make Man beat you. Make anybody else but SGA at this point with no Giddey.
Okay. Let me see. Last year, he faced the Clippers. George didn't play that game, and he had a bad game. 18-6. And that was the starting lineup was Winslow, Zubac, Jackson, Mann, and Kennard. How did he not go off in that game? Was he banged up?
Right? It's tough. You would think that George is going to be on him the entire game. So at least that's what I think. You're not going to.
George is coming off an illness.
Jackson guarding him.
George is coming off an illness, isn't he?
He is coming off an illness.
Yeah. So what if he's not 100%?
Then you're good there. Are you willing to take that risk though? They're one of those teams you said that don't care really about the season. So would they, if he wasn't 100%, would they play him? That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking he's 100%.
I mean, look, Alexander, he's gone against Minnesota, Denver, and the Clippers. I mean, he hasn't 32, 28, 33 points. Assists have been 5, 7, and 8.
Not bad. Now again,
I'm playing him until he doesn't do it. I'm playing him.
That's fine. Look, I mean, at least you know he has a safe floor. He's going to be having a ton of usage. He's going to be taking a lot of shots. It's just, will the shots be high percentage shots? Will he be able to get to the rim? That's the one thing that I'm wondering, because I'm expecting they'd be stupid. They would be absolutely stupid, the Clippers, to start with Reggie Jackson on him. Reggie Jackson doesn't play defense. So I don't.
Hopefully, Reggie gets a little time off.
Look, I'm not the coach or anything like that, but you got to think outside of that. By the way, the starting five, which is on FantasyAlarm.com, talked about.
Do we play Ben Simmons under points since that's been hitting?
It's 7.5. I saw.
Is that what it is? Well, you know what? Actually, his assists though have been hitting.
Right, that's true. I mean,
we know he's not going to shoot.
I worry though, because he doesn't really provide offense. So I'm wondering if the ball will be out of his hand too much on top, and then they let Kyrie create a little bit more, then that takes away the assist bridge for him, unless he's really dominating on transition.
What about his under points, rebounds, and assists?
What's the number?
21.5.
I don't want to mess with Ben Simmons, man. I don't
on the under.
I just let's
see. Okay,
go under.
18-24. So he's only gone over this once, and that was Toronto.
Yeah, dude, that's tough, man. What are you thinking? What's the final call? You betting it?
I lean the under, but I probably won't bet it. His first back-to-back, too.
Dallas. Not the greatest of matchups there.
De'Aaron Fox, PRAs. Maybe I might look at that.
Ooh, we'll have to do that. Rick
Memphis
Kamla
doesn't play good defense, especially against point guards.
Boom. Rick Kamla coming up next for Bettor Sports Live. The playbook closes. Good luck. Let's win Thursday.